I am Jeff Biggs, but I am not sure about Hendrickson.
I'm Landon McCool, and I am available for multiple first-round picks.
Glenn Stretch Smith, and I am sure about Hendrickson for the right money, for sure.
How about them Cowboys? It's the Cowboys Squad. Everything Dallas Cowboys every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from America's team, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Cowboys Squad Show, starting now.
And that is what we do. We squad up 2 times every week. And of course, you have the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast with Landon McCool and Marcus Mosher, who will be back with us on Monday night. And we have former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. Aisha Morrison will be back with us next week as well. But NFL free agency is now less than a week away. And before that, we'll even have some good old-fashioned tampering to get things going coming out of the weekend. But right now, welcome to another edition of the Cowboys Squad Show. Again, great to be with you with Landon and the coach. We got a lot to get to over the next hour. The very latest on the Cowboys, the cap space has been cleared. We're less than a week away from NFL free agency. As I said, we've got more Max Crosby rumors as well. They just don't die.
Yeah.
And lots of other news to get to. But let's start with a little bit of breaking news today, if we could, gentlemen. The Cowboys have officially waived defensive tackle Perion Winfrey, which follows the news of yesterday that they opted not to tender Brock Hoffman, which means he will be an unrestricted free agent when the new year begins. To me, Landon, I'll start with you. Old linemen are a plus in the NFL, especially ones that are versatile, that can play, potentially start. My pushback would be, okay, you can't give money to everybody, but man, I mean, I thought he was kind of an asset, and now he's just going to walk away with nothing in return.
Yeah, I mean, your choices were really just like you give him the second round tender, which would have been another $6 million for a second backup interior offensive lineman, which is a lot of money when you're already paying another backup interior offensive lineman $6 million, or to give him the original round tender, which is only $3.5 million, and I guarantee you would have been matched. So the Cowboys didn't have a lot of great options here. And I think they probably are doing a guy that served them really well a favor by just not complicating the matter and allowing him to hit free agency and make some well-earned cash.
Yeah, I mean, this is a situation in my mind where you have to prioritize, what you can do. My question would be then, what do you do with Adinajai? Is he a guy that maybe they're going to try to make something work with, so that if you did have, and it looks like you're going to be able to keep Bass as kind of that, inside guy, then you had Adinajai could jump to both tackles. It becomes just a priority situation. What do we need, and how do we need to manage through a financial crisis here? And you're going to say, well, why is it a financial crisis? I mean, it is, guys. Let's just call it what it is. I love Jerry coming out and saying we want to break the bank, and I love the 3 guys and Smith and CD and Dak that stepped up and restructured their deals, but they got to have a lot more money than that if they're going to go even remotely dip their big toe in the free agent pool.
Yeah,
so they're already paying $6 million to a backup offensive lineman too. Yeah. So it's like, yeah,
$7 million for a damn kicker.
If he signs it, we'll see, right? But yeah, I think the other thing too to remember here is that you've also got Nate Thomas, right, who is probably your first tackle off the bench, but he can also play guard for you if you needed him to. He's done that, so I think they can certainly cobble together a good backup offensive line solution with what they've got. And I just think that having a guy like Brock Hoffman was really just a luxury at a certain point. I would also say they also had Rob Johnson from last year who got hurt. I'll be interested to see if he's interested in coming back, maybe on a cheap deal as well, just in case you feel like you do need another body. But hopefully, just not you don't need to pay another backup interior only guy, $5.8 million or whatever the second round tender is.
I wish I could draft offensive. I wish I could draft defensive guys like they draft offensive linemen.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be pretty amazing.
It is you could do a little comparison there. Landon, I know you and Marcus did a show about this earlier today. Are you convinced though that Bass is the better guy to keep over Hoffman? No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a better fit in what the Cowboys are doing, first of all. But second of all, I just think if you're talking about better at the position of guard specifically, which is the more high priority one, I think he's clearly the better guard. He's a bigger guy. He's stronger. I think they're both pretty decent in the pass game. They both like to finish guys a little bit, with maybe Hoffman with a little bit more attitude. But I think Bass can actually move people in the run game from the guard position in a way that I don't know that Hoffman can.
Yeah, I think he's got better feet. I mean, that would be my thing. He's a guy that they can pull and move, and he doesn't get on the ground a lot. I mean, he's what do you use for a big guy? Nimble. That's the word.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
That's right. And a former tackle, right? Like, so he's got that athleticism that I think, Hoffman's not a bad athlete. I just think he's making the most of what he's got, which is probably why he was an undrafted.
Yeah, well, he's an overachiever, which by the way, you want those guys too.
Yeah.
Again, I mean,
he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid a lot of money on the market. Yeah. So
I promise you right now, you think the Texan, he's a day one starter.
Absolutely.
With the Texans. He's a day one starter with the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers are looking at Biotish, and he's a better football player than Biotish.
Mm.
All right. So what does this do, if anything, to the O-line depth for the season?
It's not as good. You're not good. I'm telling you, the days of carrying 9 offensive linemen and good players like that, that's just you cannot get in a position where you're paying the quarterback like you're paying him, paying the receiver like you're paying him, having to pay another. You can't. I'm telling you, if you started signing all these guys, I mean, you might as well just line up and play defense on air.
I will say it's not as good, but it's still pretty good. Like, especially for what the NFL is doing right now, it's pretty good. To have at least
I'm telling you, it's really good. You look at
exactly.
I mean, I'm telling you, the Chargers couldn't block the 3 of us in a damn phone booth.
The Cowboys still have 2 backups that are probably as good as many team starters at those positions.
They are starters on a lot of teams. That's the point. They have 2 guys. Think about that. 2 backups that are starters on a lot. And I'm talking about a lot means more than 15 football teams.
So they had 3. Now they just have 2, which is still a lot. Yeah.
And a final thought, what about Winfrey? Just not able to.
Yeah, I honestly, that one doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand what's going on there, because to me, it just felt like his contract wasn't very. I hate to speculate, but I'm going to speculate that I think there's something happened there. Like, his deal was so cheap. I felt like it cost you almost nothing to get a look-see. He showed you a lot of positive stuff in training camp. I'm not 100% sure on what's going on with that one, to be honest.
Yeah, he's got to come out of the USFL or the UFL, or they changed the name of it again with the horse race guy in there. But I mean, he was a guy who came out of spring football and was a big physical guy. I guess my knee-jerk reaction would be, does this defensive staff think he fits with the scheme? I'm like you; it wouldn't cost you anything to take a look at him, but they're going to use that. They're going to use that somewhere else.
I would have. That would have been my first thing too, Coach. Is like, oh, this is just not a scheme fit. But honestly, the thing about him last year was that they put him everywhere. Like when they were trying him out, he was having success in training camp.
Well, he's a jack of all trades, no question.
Yeah. So that's why I don't understand this one, and maybe we'll find out a little bit more information later.
All right. So as we said, we're counting down now to the new NFL New Year and NFL free agency on the 11th. We're going to have the tampering period before that, which we're excited about. The sooner the better for me. The Cowboys have been restructuring contracts already to make room. As Coach said, they need more. But Dak, CD, Smith, they've all done and reworked their deals. So what? Let's just start before we get into the defensive linemen. Landon, where from your vantage point are they in a good spot? And what are we looking at? How can they clear any more, or are they pretty much yeah?
I mean, they've only pulled like 3 triggers, I think, or something like that. Yeah, they've still got like, I don't know. I think it's probably $70 million that they could add if they needed to. I can't remember. I haven't kept track of exactly how much they pulled so far, but the number was originally 131 million. They pulled Dak, CD.
I think it was about 60, wasn't it?
They've done 60 so far?
With those three.
So, yeah.
I think they went from 30 over to
60 under,
40 under, something like that, 50 under.
Yeah, so I think they probably still have another 60 million that he can unlock if they need to, but the question will be whether they want to, right? They pulled the trigger on the contracts that they feel comfortable about players that are going to be here for the next 2 years, probably, right? I think as you get lower on that list of guys with guarantees, those are the guys who you don't want to have to touch that contract unless you need to, right? It's available to them. They don't have to like negotiate anything. It's the same as the rest of the triggers. It's just when you pull those triggers, it's like you're guaranteeing more money. And so you want to do that with the players that you feel like are going to be here a little bit longer. So you're not just paying a bunch of dead money to a guy who isn't on your team anymore.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, that's you're going to go. I mean, I think next you can look at the defensive tackle group, that trio.
Yeah, Williams,
Osa, Clark,
Osa.
Quinnen Williams, seeing if they could free some of that, some of that cash there, because again,
Clark needs a resign.
We could come up with a multitude of names that we think that they could sign and give it the give it the wink of can you get it done? And obviously they can, but it's like you said, what you're doing here when you start doing this is you're kicking the can down the road. Now, how far do you want to kick that can down the road? That becomes a question.
Well, man, if the salary cap is going to continue to increase the way it has the last few years,
probably a good idea.
I'd kick that can as far as I can, because that number may become some insignificant, tax percentage by the time it hits 2030.
I think the question would be, would you kick it barefooted?
I would probably break my toe, Coach. I don't know. I probably wouldn't.
So as I said, it's kind of funny, but it's also kind of, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but I mean, these Max Crosby rumors just every day. I mean, they are just not going away. And one of the very latest that I saw was from Ed Werder, who said that according to him, the Cowboys were close to a deal for Crosby, but then apparently the price has gone up. I don't know if I believe that or not. He says that, or other people have said that they're going to get 2 first-round picks for him. I don't see that, but I could be wrong. But nonetheless, Werder says now they're going to shift to Trey Hendrickson because they don't want to give up 2 first-round picks.
That sounds like the Jones family taking Ed Werder's phone and texting his tweet for him. No, the price was always 2 first-round picks. I mean, that's been what the talking point has been since, I don't know, post Super Bowl. So I don't think that changed. Now, I do believe that they have been, talking to the Raiders about this, and I do believe that they are pursuing and heavily kicking tires here. but I can't believe that they would necessarily be shocked that 2 first-round picks was going to be the starting offer. I think what's changed, honestly, and I think, if you read between the lines on some of the stuff like the Jordan Schultz tweet where he says something to the extent of the Raiders are now teams are reporting that the Raiders are now more interested in dealing the Max Crosby, and you should just read the subtext there as, hey, we're willing to lower the price. Please just give us a couple more offers here. Because I just don't think anybody's giving up 2 first-round picks. I think the Cowboys, the Rams, the Bears all will pay heavily and probably more than 1 first-round pick. I think the question becomes like the real haggling starts once the Raiders drop the pretense that they're going to get 2 first-round picks. It just probably isn't going to happen. Once they drop that need for that second first-rounder, then we can really get to work and seeing who's got the best offer.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the 3 teams being the Bears, Cowboys, Rams. I think the Eagles are in this thing.
Eagles are probably
I guarantee you all 4 of those teams have the exact same game plan that maybe Ed Warder put out there. Hey, we'll see what we can get with Max Crosby. And oh, by the way, if that's not there, our plan B is Trey Hendrickson. Well, everybody, I mean, that's a flair for the obvious. Everybody's there. Now the question becomes, would you rather have the Cowboys pick at 20 and I'll just say a name, Osa, or would you rather have the Rams pick at 13? I mean, that, or wherever the Eagles are picking. It is not going to be 2 first-round picks. And that's why I said at the start of this, I'm way on board with Trey Hendrickson. Guess what? Because I'm going to keep my picks. I'm going to keep Osa. Yeah, I might pay you 120% of what he's due. I don't know. I'm going to say ballpark. Let's say you sign him 2 years, 55. I mean, but I keep all my picks. Yeah, I'm on board with Trey Hendrickson 100%.
What if it's 20 and a 2027 second rounder?
If it's pick 20 and your second round pick next year.
Yeah. Because here's the theory. The 2027.
I'd be fine with that. A 20. What is Crosby's 26?
No, he's 29.
He's 29. What's Hendrickson's 32?
That's right.
Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, it still seems a little rich, but if you feel like he being Crosby gets you into the dance where that second round pick becomes picking around 60, let's say 65 to 72. Yeah. I'd say okay.
Because here's the theory, right? Is that there might be an opportunity here, a window here, to trade 2027 assets at a value, right? Because there's so much thirst for people to get picks in the 2027 draft. Look at who's coming out. Manning. You've got J.J. Smith from Ohio State. You've got Dante Moore from Oregon. You've got everyone kind of overhyping potentially this 2027 class. It might be a really good time to see if you can get some surplus value by dangling that as your pick, as opposed to, I mean, you don't have any other second round picks. So like you said, Coach, if you're trading for Crosby, it's a first rounder plus a player potentially. So I think this is a better choice than doing something like that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is 2 1s. Coming off of him being injured. I mean, I'm from the Casey Kasem age. Yeah, I'll keep my feet in the ground and reach for the stars. That doesn't ever mean I'm going to reach higher than the damn roof on my house. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with shooting for that.
That's right.
All right. When we come back, I want to ask you, let's kind of dive into that a little bit more, maybe the pros and cons of each. And should those 2 be kind of at the top of the wish list for the Cowboys, or should they go in another direction first? We'll get into that when we come back. This is the Cowboys Squad Show.
Hey, it's Matt Derry from the Locked On Lions podcast. The people I love depend on me. If I'm gone, the financial responsibilities don't disappear. I didn't want my family figuring things out during the hardest moment of their lives. That's why I knew only one place to go. I chose life insurance through my friends at Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. I love the folks at Ethos. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get the free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Application times and rates may vary.
All right, there we go. Welcome back to the Cowboys Squad Show. Landon McCool, former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. So we were talking about the cap space and the different rumors, and the musical chairs. The signings are going to go down quick, so you want to make sure that you get the players that you want when you have the opportunity. So with that said, do you feel like those two players are really the Cowboys' top two targets, or is this just a media thing? Is there maybe a different? Would you rather see them get a DB or a linebacker first? And if you really looked at both Hendrickson and Crosby, who do you think's the better fit? Who do you think would have more of an impact? Because that's what they need.
I think that those are the top two, universal candidates, and they are pass rushers. So that's why the Cowboys are being. I mean, I do think that the Crosby is being linked to the Cowboys because the Cowboys have legitimate interest. But I also think that the Hendrickson thing is, a lot because of he's kind of the natural top of the market free agent fit, right? I don't know that he's I mean, there certainly are cons there too. I mean, he is 31 going on 32 years old. He may not be quite the perfect fit necessarily. I mean, there's something to, and he's hurt as well. He's another guy who's also coming off of a year where he was injured. So I think that there is, some other things to weigh here. I do think that if you look at guys like Jalen Phillips, who are a little bit younger and played in this system last year, but he also has to deal with, he also has an injury history. I think Odafe Owe is a guy that really has started to come on a little bit and was a former first-round pick, has all the kind of traits you want, but has only got really 1 year of solid production. So can you trust that moving forward? So I think that there's pros and cons to all these guys. I think it's sometimes easy to think that the highest priced guy is the cleanest fit and the best, one-to-one for what you're looking for. And look, there's no doubt, Hendrickson's a guy that, as far as pass rushing, has been a top 3 pass rusher, at least in production, the last 4 or 5 years. So I think it's kind of a clean, fit to say, hey, at least you're going to get this guy and get some pass rush production. But, this is also the first time he's moved outside of Cincinnati and tried to, since he's kind of, well, that's not necessarily true. He was in New Orleans, but I do think that it's not always a guaranteed perfect fit when you go from here to there. So maybe the Cowboys feel like they would like to take that risk with a younger player with a little bit less money, or a different style of player that they can do a little bit more. And then as far as other positions, I think that they're looking at multiple positions to sign. I don't think that they're just looking at a top end edge rusher. I think that they have a need at pass rusher, and that they may feel like the best way to solve that specific position is in free agency, which I can get behind. But I think that they're going to be looking at several different positions, not just, defensive end.
Well, we talked about this with the offensive line. This is a priority situation in my mind. Excuse me, Ezeraku, hip surgery. He's already light in the ass as it is at 240-something pounds. So probably not going to be able to do much as far as a strength standpoint this offseason. That's how you get some weight on, is to be able to do that from a lower body standpoint. So I think priority becomes, because of what happened with Ezraku, because I don't know if you keep Dante Fowler, Sam Williams, who knows about it, it becomes the priority. And then I believe the priority is at linebacker. I think this is you got multiple safeties in this draft and good safeties in this draft. I think you feel like if Ravel can be healthy like you think he should be coming out of that knee surgery this year and what he did at the end of last year, you're listening to the doctors and you're asking what's going on with Bland and where do you feel you can best fit him in. I believe the priority is defensive end linebacker. That's just my personal feeling. You watch those safeties run in the draft. I mean, the Oregon kid run a hole in the wind. The Texas kid, smart as hell. I mean, you got options there. You're going to have options, I believe, at corner. But I do think that, looking and saying, well, we're going to prioritize here, and because our coordinator has a familiarity with Nakobe Dean or Reed Blankenship, they become first priority. I think that's where you get in trouble when you start putting that kind of emphasis on the fact that you got to have you got to have a defensive end. You got to have somebody out there. And guess what? I think at the end of the day, Parsons needed to be out of here. That's my gut feeling. And he showed you he wanted out of here. And he was a hell of a football player, but they moved on. And now, they're better there with Quinnen Williams. Now, how do you build on that? And how do you prioritize what you go after? And I think that's what you're seeing them do, is prioritize the fact that they're saying, we got to have a defensive end here. That's one. And then we'll address the rest of them as we see fit.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, that clearly, I mean, they want the defense to get to another level, right? Like we've talked about, no mystery there. I think somebody like Crosby could really make an impact. I mean, he could really change the whole vibe and culture on that defense and add a little juice to it. I'm not sure though. I'm just cautiously concerned about Hendrickson. Nothing against him as a person or as a player. I just, I feel like this free agency and whatever they do, whatever money they spend, they can't whiff. I mean, they can't. They need somebody that's.
I mean, last year healthy, he had 2 years ago. He had 18.5 sacks.
I know.
Yeah,
he's a defensive MVP candidate.
Yeah,
I think.
Give me that guy. Please give me that guy.
I think for me, if you're gonna get Hendrickson, you're gonna need another guy too. To me, I think Crosby is the more natural guy to play a heavier load on the outside and not just. I think you'll get your bang out of your buck from Hendrickson as a pass rusher, but I think you should probably still also protect yourself by having another quality backup level guy who could come in and give you some solid snaps, maybe on early downs, and that allows you to really truly unleash Hendrickson on third down.
Well, I mean, with that 20th pick, let's just say you did, let's just play the game.
Sure.
Let's just say you did get Hendrickson, and with that 20th pick, you get Bain or you get Cassius Howell, and you don't give up. You're not giving up another player and your first round pick, and you're getting guys on some rookie contracts. And I get it. I mean, I really do. I get the draft capital mentality. I mean, I think it's kind of humorous that the Rams, who have been in the last 2 NFC championship games and won a Super Bowl as recently as 4 or 5 years ago, they haven't had a first round pick in 9 of the last 10 drafts. You think they give a whiskey crap about first round picks? Nope. And they show you they can win without them.
Yeah. There's lots of ways to skin this cat for sure.
That's right. There's a lot of ways to do it. But Jeff makes the point. Don't let me toss this softball to you underhanded and you give it a swing and a miss.
I will add into Sebastian Shaw, like on in the chats, talking about Savon Ravel and Reddy Stewart starting.
Yeah.
Like Reddy Stewart is not a starter. Like and Reddy Stewart is not a starter. Like they kept him because he's an exclusive rights free agent, and that's an incredibly cheap deal.
That's the undersized guy they played at nickel last year.
Yeah, and that's the other part of the thing too, right? Is that they're not going to be playing an undersized nickel this year. Like, if anything, they're going the other direction. I wouldn't be shocked if you want to look at like guys that were on the roster last year that could be surprise starters again.
DJ Goodwin,
Marquise Bell.
Yeah,
Marquise Bell. I would not be shocked if he was a starter at nickel because they like those bigger body nickels. He has the history of playing down in the box. He's good at that. I wouldn't be shocked if he was a guy that they looked at that kind of big nickel star overhang position that they like to use.
So let me ask you this, Landon. We talked about this on Monday night. I wanted to get your thoughts. So we were talking about the draft in round one, and as Coach aptly put, hey, you want to get a couple of starters if you can, if you have those picks in the first round. With that said, from all the what you saw from the combine and all the shows that you and Marcus have been doing, what position do you think is best suited for two starters to emerge? Like, do they have a better chance of getting two starters in the secondary, D-line, linebackers?
I think that you could get two starters in the secondary in the draft. I think it's not like it's not so clean. Like I mean, the pick you have to worry about is what happens to you at 12, right? And what falls to you, and who either makes it to you falling out of the top 10 because one of these offensive linemen or a quarterback or an extra wide receiver or maybe a tight end that this wide receiver is posing as a tight end from Oregon goes in the top 10. Or just like, do you just go for a guy like Monsieur Delane, right? Who maybe will be there at 12 regardless. So I think you have to find a way to kind of insulate yourself a little. This is one of those years where you really, really do wish that free agency was after the draft, because the best strategy would be to go in and just see how the draft falls to you, right, and then pick the best value players at one of those positions of need, and then go into free agency and kind of backfill that a little bit more, which there is that opportunity a little bit, but a lot of the pickings have been done, right? Well, at that point. So I think that, look, if you want to kind of go the free agent route or the trade route of getting an edge player, it makes some sense because I think that's a position that naturally takes a little bit longer for players to develop at, right? So I think that, putting all your eggs in the basket of Ezeraku coming off of a hip surgery and then a rookie, I think that's pretty tenuous, Yeah. So, and I think that this coach has shown us the ability this defensive coach has shown us the ability to coach up young secondary players to get them ready to play at a high level. So I think DB makes the most sense simply because it feels like you can find the players that you're looking for at 12 and 20 for that you've got the kind of coaching staff that can get them ready to play in a quick manner. And because of what's available in the free agent market specifically and trade market, I guess, as well, at defensive end and at linebacker.
All right. I mean, I'd arguably say the best corner free agent wise is probably Tyreek Woolen. It is going to be extremely expensive shopping down that aisle. That is going to be extremely expensive. And so when you see what I feel like is the depth that is at corner and the depth that is at safety, I get it. They don't have a 2 and a 3, but I'm still saying I'd be more inclined to hang on to that pick at 20, see if maybe I could back out of there and then pick up an extra pick, because from what I'm hearing, and I've talked to multiple people throughout the league, they have between 12 and 14 true first round grades. That's what they have.
Wow.
Now, that doesn't mean that there's a lot of difference between a first round grade and a guy that's in a second round. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is there will be multiple teams that will reach in this draft, and they'll reach for need. And so I think there's a lot of value in that pick at 20, because I do think it's a very rich draft. 40 to 90. Player 40 to player 90, 95 is very rich. And the fact that the Cowboys don't have those picks in that arena, I mean, I think that's where the draft capital helps you.
Yeah. Landon,
I mean, I think that at 12, you've got an opportunity for someone to fall to you because of what coach is talking about, right? Because some team is going to convince themselves, I got the number 7 pick. I want to pick a player of high value. I can squint enough to make this guy look like a tackle, right? Like I know everyone's telling me he's a guard, but I'll make it work. Or they'll someone, and they do it almost every year, but I would not be shocked if someone, just like, I can squint. I can make Ty Simpson into a top 15 pick. Like I can listen to that absolute crap about him being a better quarterback than Fernando Mendoza in the Rose Bowl or whatever it was that they played each other. Like I can lie to myself there. So there is a chance that you get some benefit of it up top. But I agree. Like at 20, and here's the other thing too. Just kind of circle back on the defensive backs.
Yeah,
it's not exactly a great fit for what the Cowboys usually like either. Like this, it's not like there's a ton of great candidates that usually fit the kind of profile that the Cowboys are used to. So if the Cowboys are going to need to go the route of defensive back, they're going to need to be a little bit more flexible than they have been in years past in their prototypes, because there just aren't. There's probably 2 or 3 guys that meet their arm length thresholds, their height thresholds. And the top end guys like Mansour Delane, they're definitely not going to meet the threshold. So if the Cowboys want to go that defensive background, and I don't disagree that I think they maybe should, they're going to need to be a little bit more flexible about the type of players that they're drafting at the position. And maybe they will be because they have Christian Parker.
All right. Let's hold it there. When we come back, I'm going to ask you another question about the draft, something that you already discussed with Marcus. We'll do that when we come back. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. I want to talk to you about this episode being brought to you by BetterHelp, because March is a time to celebrate women, especially around International Women's Day, and to recognize just how much they carry at work, in relationships and families, and in all the unseen roles they step into every single day. It's easy to celebrate that strength, but it is just as important to make space for their emotional well-being. And honestly, that goes for all of us. So take a moment and celebrate the women in your life and think about how much she cares and how much she carries. And without saying so, it really makes you think, how many of us are doing the same thing? I mean, the roles we play, the expectations we carry, the pressure we don't always talk about. Well, therapy can help with all of that, creating balance, setting healthy boundaries, and supporting your overall being. With over 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 6 million people served worldwide, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, and it works. You fill out a short questionnaire, you get matched with a licensed therapist, and if it's not the right fit, you can switch anytime. So your emotional well-being matters, and you need to find the support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at BetterHelp.com/lockedon. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. All right, we're back. Cowboys Squad Show. Landon McCool, co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, along with former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. Landon, you and Marcus did a show on this earlier, and the topic was after the combine, coming out of the combine, has the Cowboys draft strategy changed? So with what you just said before we went to break, where do you see their strategy at right now?
I mean, I think first it's getting through free agency, right? And seeing what, exactly. I think they, right. It's all information gathering right now. I don't think that there's any kind of draft strategizing yet, right? Like I think it's all about still kind of learning to see what's there, getting a lay of the land, maybe kind of from a 10,000 foot view, right? Like, okay, there seems to be a surplus of pass rushers at the bottom of the first round, or like having a kind of general idea. But then I think they're focusing on getting free agency lined up and seeing how they want to solve some of their problems there, and then depending on whether how successful they were in free agency, then you can kind of start building your board and start understanding a little bit about sequencing and how you want to like attack the rest of your needs with this draft board. I think right now it's more about, hey, I think we've got these needs that we are going to try and hit in free agency. What happens if we do hit them? What happens if we don't hit them? What are our contingency plans? What happens if we just completely strike out in free agency? Right now it's all about getting a certain amount of gathering of information in the free agency, and then they'll turn their eyes to the draft and how they're going to sequence things.
All right. With that said, is there one group that you like more than the others, or that you're maybe a little more excited about than you were before the combine?
I mean, I think that the defensive backs obviously really kind of showed out. It was a really fast group. I think the linebacker group, for the most part, looked good. I mean, it's hard not to come away incredibly impressed with guys like Sonny Styles and what they were able to accomplish. But I think, even the group writ large seemed like very athletic. So, I think the Cowboys are in a good spot, especially at 20. If they want to pick something, there's going to be decent value there. If they get an opportunity to trade back, they absolutely should. But they're also not going to get to a point at 20 where there's not going to be, I don't think, somebody that is a good pick for them. I think 12 is more where I'm concerned that you'll get that perfect kind of nexus of need and value.
Coach, are you hearing anything? You said you've been talking to a lot of people about kind of the depth of the draft, but are you hearing anything specifically about the Cowboys?
No, I'm not. I just, you try not to push too much. You try to gather enough information to give yourself an opportunity to make what I would say is an educated guess.
There you go.
But I'm not afraid to say on March 5, today, if we had to say, give me Hendrickson in free agency.
Okay.
At 12, Delane's probably gone. Styles may be sitting there, I think, at 12. Take him. And at 20, the phone's not ringing. Give me the Oregon Thieneman. Give me the Oregon safety. And I'd come out of this. I'd come out of this thing, and if I was Jerry Jones, I'd go drink that Johnny Walker Blue till the damn world looked flat.
Yeah, I'm starting to think more and more that despite an absolutely outrageous combine, that Sonny Styles may be available to the Cowboys at 12. I just,
if he is, and they don't pull the trigger, turn your ear to the west. You'll hear Stretch scream some words that will make a sailor blush.
Me too. I feel the exact same way, Coach. It's such a no-brainer. I was talking to a couple different folks, and you're starting to hear, and not even talking to folks, like even seeing like Mike Sando, who does a kind of post combine mock draft collectively with several different anonymous front agent folks that he talks to, and Sonny Styles was not in the top 10 in that draft either. And I've heard from a couple other folks too that maybe he's not necessarily viewed like that up top. And it's funny because I get this information secondhand. It's never like from the source, or maybe it is for coach, but for me, I would yell back and be like, "What is wrong with y'all? Like, what do you need to see from this guy to make him a top 10 pick?" I mean, he literally jumped 43.5 inches. He's the green dot Mike linebacker, maybe the best defender, or arguably the best defender on two of the greatest college football defenses of all time. Like, what more does this guy need to do to like impress y'all? And I'm sure that I would get some answer that would be unsatisfactory to me.
Well said. I like that. That was a good answer there. So you touched on it a little bit, but we talked about this Monday. Speculation that the Cowboys will want to bring in Nakobe Dean to work with Christian Parker in his defense. What are your thoughts on that? Do you like that? Is there somebody better that might be a better fit? Do you like Dean where he's at in his career?
I mean, I think you have to look at like what these linebackers are going to be doing, right? It's a lot less of a requirement to be that kind of elite instinctual, like find ball, go get ball kind of a linebacker. You're going to be doing more blitzing. You may be doing a little bit more coverage stuff. I think you're coming downhill a little bit more. You're slow playing your reads because it's a gap in the half system. So you're having an extra gap to kind of cover a little bit. So I think it actually opens up and the type of linebacker you're looking for. And I think it's the type of linebacker that Nakobe Dean is, right? Like where you want Nakobe Dean coming downhill. You want to blitz Nakobe Dean. You want to have him running through the A gap, tackling a running back in the backfield. So I think that, because he obviously played in Parker's system last year, and because of his playing style being such a different, a good fit, I think that there's obviously some interest there. The question becomes like, what is he going to want in the open market, right? Like, because I think he probably is still viewed as one of the top 5 available free agent linebackers. So is it a $7.5 million situation, or is it a $10.5 million situation? I think that's going to kind of dictate like my level of interest probably.
Does his health history scare you at all?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. It does. Not been able to stay on the field like consistently. It's one of those things where it's like, I think it gets mitigated by the fact that I feel better about his fit in this defense than any of these other linebackers, because I've obviously seen him play in this defense before.
Yeah. I mean, there's no question you got to have a good football IQ. And that, I think Styles fits that. We checked the Kentucky Derby is not a hat. Okay. That's the first question, right? And let's move forward here.
Coach, how important though is that, if at all, or maybe it isn't, if you're a coach and you have a player that you've worked with, that you've coached, and he knows you and knows your system, and you have the opportunity to bring him with you, is that a big deal, or is it overrated?
No, it's a big deal, but if you're asking me one or the other, I'd rather have Blankenship, because I know he's going to understand the checks, the motions, the checks, the shifts, what they're doing. If I had to say bang for the buck, if I had to say, give me the guy that understands the defense, that has gotten us lined up, that knows where to put us in position, give me that guy along with the kid at Oregon. Have I mentioned him enough already?
No.
Okay.
One more.
Maybe one more time. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a cheaper player, so I think that makes it also a lot more palatable, right? And I don't even know if necessarily if you sign him, if you have to have him as your starter, I think he's kind of at that borderline level. I think he's a very good fit and probably would be your starter because of the force multiplier aspect of the fact that he has familiarity with this defense. But like he's not. I don't think that there is. I'm presenting this as a positive, right? I don't think that there is as much league-wide interest in Blankenship as there is in Nakobe Dean, right? So I think you're going to have more competition for a guy like Nakobe Dean, which, again, is just another positive towards maybe preferring to go after Blankenship than Nakobe Dean.
You know what they call that in Texas, Landon?
What's that, Coach?
Bang for the buck.
That's right. That's right.
There you go. All right. When we come back, our final segment, final thoughts, and we actually have a Matt Eberflus update. We'll share that too when we come back. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right. Well, just when you thought that we saw the last of Matt Eberflus, turns out Cowboy fans are going to get to see him again in person next season coming up because, according to reports, Eberflus is going to be joining the 49ers coaching staff as the assistant defensive head coach to, I guess, whoever their coordinator is going to be. I think they
Raheem Morris.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. So there you go. So Matt Eberflus will be back at AT&T when they play during the season.
I guess if you're going to fill a Gus Bradley shaped hole in your defensive coaching staff, might as well fill it with a Matt Eberflus. I mean, I don't know, that brand of coach, that style of play is very much dying. So I at this point, I think he's probably going to be taking these kind of consulting jobs from here on out. I mean, he's assistant defensive coordinator. Usually if you're truly the assistant defensive coordinator, you get hired within the same month of the first defensive coordinator that gets hired, right? So I have a feeling it's more of a hey, maybe try it this way. No, okay, cool, don't sort of role as a coach, right?
I mean, I don't want to get on here and start a whip on a guy. I mean, at the end of the day, it was a really poor scheme combined by very poor technique, and that's the results you got or what you got. So doesn't mean he doesn't know football, doesn't mean that he doesn't understand all that. But when we used to sit around the locker room all the time, play dominoes, there were guys that I wanted to play. And in a domino game, he'd be one of those guys that I would be knocking some holes in. Pow! I'd be knocking some holes in his head with those dominoes.
I don't know if you guys remember. I'm going to date myself, but there was a corner who played for the Giants under Bill Parcells and did not have success, and he was given the nickname Toast. Elvis Patterson.
Yes, I do remember Toast.
And for some reason, I kind of feel like that Eberflus is he's kind of in that category now, not Toast of coaching, if you will. Like, it's going to be hard for him.
Except not the toast of coaching, just he's toast, right? Like, yeah, well, I agree.
Is that like milk toast or is that like burnt toast?
I think it's more like burnt toast.
Yeah. So when do you think we'll start hearing? Do you think we'll start hearing some stuff over the weekend? Or
for sure. Yeah, I mean, usually you start hearing whispers before then, and I'm sure we'll hear, birdies in our ears even before that. But I think the first time that you'll probably start getting some at least some solid information is probably this weekend, right before that Monday. They got tampering before the tampering still, it's like, it doesn't matter how much they move the tampering period. There's still more tampering that gets done. So
I think Monday at noon, you'll know some solid.
You'll get a fire hose at Monday.
You're going to have some solid information. So, for sure. Jeff, take it easy. You won't have to do a bunch of show prep this weekend to get on Monday. There'll be enough to talk about.
I look forward to that. And we had Dak speaking out over the last couple of days, talking about he feels they can really take a big step in free agency. And if they can improve, that the team can take a big step if they sign the right players. He had advice for George Pickens on being tagged. So, I mean, it's been a lot of talking, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And, hopefully we're going to see some of the action here pretty soon enough.
I mean, I think we're all ready for it right now. I mean, honestly, everyone's kind of on pins and needles waiting for some new Max Crosby news because Cowboys names have been associated with it so much, but who knows if anything like that's going to go through. I think sometimes it's really hard to parse that stuff. I do think that there is some smoke there. I do think the Cowboys obviously have had advanced conversations about it. But yeah, I think more than likely we should get something about Max Crosby before the weekend, I would think.
Yeah. Just don't want them to overpay. I know you have to balance between the importance of winning now and the window, but I want to see them succeed and have good signings and a good draft and not overpay and have it turn into a negative because it's a critical season. I mean, it's going to be. We said that last season.
I'm going to tell you, in free agency, you're going to overpay.
Yeah.
There are going to be multiple bidders, and where you thought you were, if you want to think that you're at the Dollar Tree, you're in the wrong line if it's free agency.
Yeah, well said. All right, before we get out of here, Landon, what do you and Marcus have coming up on the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast? One more day tomorrow, and then of course we got all the activity Monday.
So tomorrow's show we're going to be talking about some rookie linebackers or upcoming rookie linebackers, right? We're going to be covering, let's see, I think it's Jacob Rodriguez, Anthony Hill Jr., and CJ Allen. So we did deep dives on all three of those guys. Make sure you guys check that out. And we've been doing a lot of, it's mock draft simulation season. So we've been doing a lot of those. So make sure you guys, come and check us out because those are always a lot of fun too.
Marcus says he's been staying up all night. He puts his little baby to bed. He's been staying up all night watching that film. So I'm sure he is going to get on there tomorrow like a rolling ball of butcher knives with these linebackers.
We've already started arguing in the DMs about players, so I can't wait to see what happens on camera.
And when do the visits begin? When do those happen?
I think they start, after free agency mostly. I mean, I think they can happen. There's rules about when they can happen, and I think it has to start like mid-March, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, beautiful. Coach, any final thoughts from you before we wrap things up? Anything you're looking forward to?
I'm on board here with whatever direction they go. I mean, I don't think it's I don't think the Cowboys are in a bad position right now. I think they're in a good place. And I think they pull the trigger the way that they should pull the trigger, which is not fire, aim, and then shoot. It's a get it in your sights, get the target that you want to hit, and then go at it. I really do. I think they're in a heck of a position here to really put themselves in competition for for winning the NFC East. And I'm not trying to put it way out there, but if they can pull the right trigger here and get in the right position, they absolutely can compete with the Eagles next year, which I think it's going to be those two teams for the East.
Yeah, you've got a lot to do, but I agree with Coach. Like the way things have lined up have been really favorable for you, and you can do it. Now it's just about executing a strategy correctly. I think they can do it.
Yeah. It's all about the season, right? It's all about, it doesn't matter what happened 2 seasons ago it's this season. It's all new season, new opportunity, and that's what we're looking forward to. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. As always, have a great weekend, great rest of the week with you and Marcus tomorrow. We'll be back with you again on Monday night. Hopefully Aisha will be back with us as well. But enjoy the weekend, enjoy the rumors and the tampering, And thank you to everybody listening here later on. We appreciate you. We love you, and we'll do it again soon. This has been the Cowboys Squad Show.